Hello, Roberto. How are you?
Hi, Mustafa. Very well over here. Thank you. What about you?
I am doing good. So I think this is our third appearance with you, and we started with DBT. Then we had second session with DBT with data mesh, and then that topic came in when I raised a concern that having a data mesh into multiple environments, how you do it, because the question came if there's a group of company like Unilever who has multiple entities underneath. Each entity have their own subject area like finance, procurement, blah, blah, blah. So data mesh says you build data product for each subject area. Now, the subject area, when it crosses one entity to another entity for under one group, multiple entities, right? How data mesh will work into the multiple environment. I think that is where this topic came in. And thank you so much for accepting it. So our today's topic is data mesh in multiple environments. So you want to start with something, or we simply jump into
Yeah,
reality? Yeah.
let's start, let's say, by setting the scene. Uh, what you're suggesting is a bigger company, or whether it is a group of companies or just a bigger company that have multiple teams, because if it's a single team, it's a solved problem,
Yeah.
that probably want to divide the big enterprise thing into smaller domains. And like always, we have started with the back in time mainframe that were single things. And
Hmm.
then we move to client server. And then, well, it's a continuous of back and forth because there is always this tension between a global thing that often gets too difficult and too big and too complex, and then the local solution that it's easier done by the people who knows better. So how to try to keep these things together. To me, the basic concept are you need to have what John Giles calls a town plan. So you need to know your company. So if you want to make something at the company enterprise-wide level, you need to have to start from that level of knowledge. Then on the other side, we have the technical needs. So let's leave the technical needs for later because what I suggest for companies, if they can, to use very simple technologies to communicate. But we can go deeper than in the technology, so in the how to make it work. But let's start maybe thinking if we agree that you can't have an enterprise view without knowing your enterprise, without having a town plan saying that, okay, we have customer that buy stuff and they receive a document. So, and we have, like John just says, we have well-established patterns to represent these things. We have the party role to represent customer, vendors, and whoever participate in something. We have agreement, we have document, we have location. So we have this set of pattern. So my solution in that sense would be start by drawing, making this modeling that is not a UML model, but is this kind of high level pattern-based model of what the entities that are covered by these different parts of the data mesh. So at least you will know so where you put each of these and what they should communicate. Because the good thing is that each of these elements or each of these party you can implement in different place with different technology, but at least give you, okay, we have a party and a role. You can generate an interface to pass that. Whether then the party is a customer in your CRM system or it's a vendor in the purchasing, but at least if you have a common way, you can always get a party or a role in a similar way. At least you can export them in a compatible way.
Yeah. So what we are saying here is if we need to, because data mesh is, correct me if I'm wrong, is for one entity. Within one entity, you have, as you mentioned, multiple. Every organization have their own subject areas based on their domains. So generic ones are HR, procurement, finance. These are generic ones. But based on the domain, there are, I would say, specific subject areas as well. So let's say we have, let's talk about banking, let's say, right? So banking might not be a good idea. Let's take an example of Unilever. Like within Unilever, there are many organizations. So we end up implementing a data mesh. Let's say in one organization, a product can be and under Unilever, there are a lot of a product can be for let's say chocolates. Within chocolate domain, there is an entity, and we end up implementing a data mesh into chocolate entity. When I say it's a company, and you end up creating multiple data products for one subject area, another data product, another subject area. Now you come to another entity under Unilever, which is not chocolates, maybe which is milk. Now you have to implement another data mesh over here, right?
Well, I would say why you're so a data mesh doesn't have to be so specific. Can be, but doesn't have. So it's not at
Okay.
a data mesh is not at a single entity. So that the basic entity, that basic data mesh. So you can reason about a single entity that doesn't have to be, by the way, the single product. Or actually, I've never seen so smaller data mesh. It's usually more at the level of a unit, what a unit does, and you have multiple entities. And all in this case, for example, I would say that product could be a common pattern that you refer to. And product is a generic implementation. If we think about Java, so you could have a product interface that could be a common view with common columns or common views, because maybe you don't want just a single wide thing, but you might have multiple. And then whether it is a chocolate product or it is milk product or it is just a box, so it doesn't have a validity period or a eat before or suggested before period, but still you can have it and have it empty. So you can generate this kind of, and this is what I mean. So the pattern is even at a higher level. Then under a specific pattern, like a party role, you can have a specific topology. Like under a party role, you can have a customer, you can have a provider, you can have different specific implementation that already they can all refer to the highest level of the pattern and the most common interface, or you can also have lower, more detail. So if you are differentiating just getting a party, well, you probably will have some common things. But if you get a customer that is specific type of party, or a vendor, or you can invent how many, because of course, the bigger the company, the bigger the taxonomy. But if you don't start by making this exercise of building the high level or selecting more than building the high level pattern that you want to use to communicate between the parts of the companies, and then the topology, this taxonomy under each of them, well, you are going into bubble, and that's probably where you start to think, oh, but how do you use the mesh in a distributed system? It's
Yeah.
going to be a Babel. So to avoid this kind of Babel risk, you have to build this common town plan. So you say, we have these parties, this party, we have this topology, and this topology are specified. If you want to get one of these, how you get it.
Hmm. So it means what you are saying here is now it started making sense to me. Because what you are saying here is build conceptual and logical model at a higher level. But when it goes to a physical model, everyone can have their own physical models. Because logical, it's one. Within logical, yes, product is a product entity within
And
product.
sometimes it's not a product, it might be a, I don't know, perishable product,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
perishable product can be a subcategory, and in some context you just care if you are a chocolate or let's say milk and chocolate factory. you probably just work with perishable product, but they also sell non-perishable product. And
Hmm.
so you see, sometimes you want to just talk about product,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
some other times, because probably if you look at revenue, finance, they don't really care how long is the shelf life. They just care if they made money or not selling and other things. So depending on, but so you can see the same object can be seen with different lenses.
Hmm.
And we have learned with many languages, and in SQL works well too, to have different interfaces.
Hmm.
So the same, let's say, base table, to be really, really practical, the same base table with your chocolate product can be a perishable product. So a view with perishable product on top of it, with some standard names and data types, it can be a generic product.
Hmm.
And on top of that, you can also agree, if you want to have finance, some content that you need when you reason about products in finance.
Hmm.
So you see, that's the point that I was saying to avoid this bubble.
Okay, okay. So I think we went towards more deeper implementation approach. Let's go a little bit upper at a data mesh level. Let's discuss about the approach. Again, just to reiterate for people who are listening, if anyone end up listening it, I don't have a lot of viewers, but still need
But
to
well, we just like discussing. So if people
yeah,
want to
yeah, yeah,
listen, then we are happy. But I think it's interesting to just exchange ideas
yeah,
between
yeah. Aim is to
experienced
discuss
people.
between you and me. Yeah. So yeah, joke apart, right? So once we go at a approach, because data match is an approach. Again, it's not a product. It's an approach that how you should create data products, whether data products are shareable across. So let's talk about this thing because data match says that yes, every domain should create or subject area should create their own data products. But it also says that every data product should be shareable to other domains as well. Why it
Yes.
makes it mandatory? Because I think it should be hybrid, right? Not mandatory.
Well, to me, it's mandatory in the sense that everything that you want to expose out of a unit, so let's call a unit, whatever level is creating their own data mesh. You will have some things that are private, and those you can do as whatever you want, so you don't really need to do in a specific way. But as you start doing it in one way, I suggest you adopt it for everything. It's just simpler for your people. But for all the, let's say, public uh, objects, entities is a little bit reducing. Let's say the public data products now, this data product concept is very useful and also very talked about. So for every data product that you make public, well, you should make it public through shared definitions. And these high-level patterns of the, information engineering are really good because they are test and tried. They give you a guidance also on how to implement. Why, again, it's a guidance, is not an specific implementation. You will do it according to your needs. But
Mm,
there are industry standard to create party role, to create a product, to create account. So you don't have to invent the wheel. And this usually helps in making quicker and better solutions. And also elevate the discussion from the technical implementation that I do a lot of technical things. So I also need to clarify my mind by talking, for example, the table, the views on top of it, to move the discussion to the business layer. Because so if you are Johnson and Johnson or you are Unilever and you have factories, you don't have this factory in totally independent. They have a clear reporting standard. They have clear processes to decide what they produce, how they produce. Why information is not like that? So it's not that you can hope, oh, let's just make a factory in Taiwan. maybe not the best geopolitical place. Let's pick another one. Uh, I don't know. Let's make India. So there is a lot of people available, so you can do a lot of stuff. Let's make a new factory in India. You just don't make it like that. You have a reasoning why you make it. You decide what you're going to make it there. You will have processes. So, and I think it's the same. So you don't just create a data platform, a data mesh, uh, just because. So if you spend money because, well, data platform are not cheap because people that work there, it's people intensive and people is not really cheap, especially expert people. So you don't make just for fun. You make for some reason. And the reason is to either use locally and then that's fine, decide locally. But in general, you also want to use this data even more nowadays with the AI at the global, at the company level. So you can't start making something and pretend that you are not part of a bigger entity.
Hmm.
And like you have processes for all kind of business stuff, you need to have the same kind of process and description for how you move data. And also at that level, Unilever, Johnson and Johnson, you will not have just one factory. You will have many factories doing
Hmm.
similar products, and probably you will also have business partner doing the same. So you really want to start thinking at this high level uh, how you organize, how your uh, information flows, how your information is organized, what are the concepts that you want to talk about and you want to have information about. So if you don't do that, how you can you hope to make a big picture?
Yeah, so I think you are going towards governance, right? I think which is
Yes,
a
it is.
yeah,
It's but governance is maybe more often perceived on what you can do and what you can access and so on. So this to me is really is
yeah, yeah,
modeling,
yeah,
maybe more business modeling than data model. Because if we start to talk data modeling, people start to think about the individual table or so.
Actually, yeah, that's a misconception about data governance. People think data governance is about access and this and that. No, data governance is to manage business metadata and technical metadata as well. When you talk about business metadata, it's not only access, it's a business model, information model. All those modelings comes under business metadata, and business metadata is part of the governance. So governance need to manage business metadata as well, information metadata as well, taxonomies, ontologies, all these things, governance
I
as
agree with you, but what I mean is that most people, if you
people
say
don't
governance,
yeah, yeah.
they will think, oh, the access, who can do what, where we put it, and so this kind of
Data
thing. So
lineage.
that's why.
People talk
Hmm?
about data lineage, technical metadata. I think that is the most lowest level of data governance exercises. The most valuable is business metadata. That is where
Yes,
everything sits.
and that cannot exist if you don't have this kind of town plan.
Hmm,
So,
hmm,
like when you build a city, and I'm using John Gill's word, so uh, you know how to build an hospital. You know how to build many of the needed areas. So, how you build station, train station, and so on. And you know how to connect this with the rest of the city. So, you don't just leave every zone in the city just do whatever they want. You have this town plan. You decide, okay, we put an hospital there, and you don't care when you have the discussion. You don't care how you're gonna build that hospital, how many rooms, where is the entrance. You know, that is the technical thing that someone who builds hospitals is well aware of. So you can think with politicians that definitely are not engineers
hmm,
about, okay, we will build an hospital here. Of course, we will not have the water treatment plant in the center because it's smelly. So they're both positive pattern and anti-patterns.
hmm,
So, and the same thing I think you need to have at this enterprise level. You need to know what you expect your business model to be. So
hmm,
yeah, you will have customer that if you are in real estate, probably have agreements with other parties, and the parties are banks and solicitors, and then you build documents, and that's one thing. If you are Johnson and Johnson, Unilever, you have also this part, but it's minority. The big thing is that you have probably shops or reseller that buy products that you produce in a factory,
Hmm.
and these factories they are all parties, but you can describe these with a very simple flow between a limited number, like a dozen of common patterns. Because, like I said, if I look at John Gill example, you have a party role that's clear. Everything that is a party to something or has a role in something, it's covered by that. You have a product, you have an agreement, you have a document. Those are high-level concepts that everybody can understand and can describe a business
Hmm.
process with those. And then, of course, you have a resource or an asset. You have accounts, because, of course, this is also something. Sometimes you need to have tasks. But, for example, at this high level, probably you don't really have a task. You
Hmm.
probably have a task when you go into smaller
Scale
or
level.
more practical, when you describe how you organize a factory. You sometimes have location or events. So, because things happen in some place. And these are high enough that you can discuss with the business people. So you don't really need to get bogged down into the technicalities while we can think, like I was doing before. Oh, yes, of course, you will have a product, big table or a set of tables that have all your information about the product you build in that factory.
Hmm.
And that can be exposed according to these different patterns or different implementation or parts of the topology of the product
Hmm.
pattern. And the same, the factory itself might be probably a party with different roles in
Hmm.
different documents or agreements.
Hmm.
Because when they're buying, they are a party, but their role is to buy materials. And when they are selling, of course, they are still a party with a different role in a different agreement. So
Yes.
it's quite simple if you accept to discuss at this high level to speak even with business. And business need to describe their business process. So
Yeah.
this is, we are back to maybe, I feel young again when we had business process reprocessing. So, and data is just part of that. And if it's not business process reprocessing or your organization, is at least describe your business process. And so make sure that the data is aligned with your business process. Because if you don't know that, and if you don't align with that, it's very difficult that you're going to be able to govern, like you said, governance, well, how to exchange data between parts of your organization.
Yeah. So again, business process is data, and data is business process. So
Well, it
yeah,
should be, I would say, should be, because it's not so many people don't try to make them converge.
yeah, because these are not two things. If you're defining a business process, it's a business metadata, and metadata becomes our data when you start doing analytics on it. So it's all together. Some people keep it separate. You're right, because we have seen that data governance work into a very silo place. There they where they feel, hey, nothing should move without us. Hey, data, you are an IT team, do it. It should be bundled together, right? So now let's jump onto. We have discussed metadata, we have discussed governance. So centralize management of all these things, because once you see, we were discussing last time as well. Once you start creating multiple data products, centralized management become a bigger issue, because right
Well,
now, because not you don't have skill set. First of all, you don't have centralized projects are still failing, we all know that. Now when we go towards small data products, and we are saying that business should own that, what are the challenges and risks you feel will be there and need to be mitigated?
Well, the first one is what we were just saying before, so that usually there is no alignment and no
Yeah.
even attempt to align or to make business responsible of the data that is created in their units. They're just responsible of the process and maybe the results, of course, the results, but the data is like a byproduct. Is not something that they are responsible. So if they make money, oh, that's fine. But even if the data is bad, maybe if they start not making money, then someone will look for the data
Yeah.
because that's how business, And so maybe that's the first thing. So it should be more aligned that managing a unit uh, at every level, it
Hmm.
is as much as result about as data that describe what the unit does. So I would say that's the first thing. And then you need to, if you decide to decentralize the implementation, uh, you cannot force a central, let's say, oversee that is too rigid, because then otherwise it fights against the logic of decentralizing. So what you need is, it's often called federated governance. So again, like you need a shared town plan, you also
Yes.
need a shared process, a shared, so light, high level way of working together. And
Yes.
if I want to be really, really practical, while of course every unit, every factory might use a different cloud platform with a different database and different tools, that's in theory, it's perfectly fine as long as they have clear interface and clear ways of communicate. But you see, then these clear things and common may become much more difficult if you start to have a total freedom, everybody does like they want.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is possible on one side. My suggestion is to try to avoid also common way of doing common tools. So if you adopt different platforms, either for cost or for legacy uh, problematics, because you already have them. I see many customers already have Snowflake and Databricks.
Yeah.
And you can't just say to one of the team or one of the unit, just move everything to the other one. And they say, yeah, it takes 6 months or 6 years, depending, and it costs you this month. It makes no sense because that's not going to be productive. It's just going to be losing time and money. So what you can do then is at least try to leverage the technology that make it easier to interoperate between these plans. So the common interfaces with this big concept that we said, you can put, for example, in how it's called, this share. I always forget this name. The share format for tables is Iceberg. It
Iceberg,
comes, yeah.
Iceberg, Delta, and Hoodoo. There are
Well,
three.
but Delta is not really working because it's just a kind of a file level. It doesn't share the metadata, so it's very slow. Of course, you can read and use it, but it's not that good,
Okay.
in my opinion. So, for example, every time you read from a Delta table, you have to reread the Parquet files. If you
Yes.
have a billion of rows, it's take forever. Even
Okay.
if you just need a small, because you don't know the content of the individual files.
Yes.
Um, Instead, Iceberg not only share the files, the data, but also the metadata. So if you look at I want the last month of data. You know in which file. So you just need to open the file that have the data for the last month. So this
Oh,
is
okay. So you are saying Delta tables don't keep these kind of details. An iceberg automatically keep, or when you are creating
Oh, no,
DDL
it
file.
automatic when you create an iceberg. So iceberg, part of the iceberg protocol is sharing data and metadata. With Delta, you share the data while the metadata is kept inside the engine. So of course, if you use delta inside the database might and will probably keep metadata about it, so that it doesn't have to read every single file and so on. But for example, if you read delta from Snowflake, Snowflake doesn't have, because it didn't even, for example, that didn't even update or create those files. It doesn't know. It's an external thing. It doesn't maintain the metadata. You
Okay.
just need to, it knows what files are current and what are history. That they know, but that's the level of metadata that is part of the delta sharing. So, but still, it's better than nothing. So
Hmm.
that's just performance.
Hmm.
So in this bigger context, that would be fine. It's good enough to make data accessible and interoperable. I would
Hmm.
say, like the technology evolves, Iceberg is much more performant, so it's preferable, but Delta works. Well, in the worst case, you could export CSV files, but that's not going to be the brightest way, the simplest way. On the other side, if you are very technical, you could have REST APIs that
Yeah.
make querying data even simpler. There is a technologically there is a continuum,
Hmm.
but to me, so going back to your original question, how to make it happen. So, well, the least difference you have in the way the individual data mesh are created and maintained, the
Hmm.
simpler it is to then provide this common access, this federated governance, so that if I need, well, the production amount or the financial results from that factory, I can get it.
Hmm.
And it should also provide for the fact that there should be agreed roles, so that again, it's a federated governance. So governance is also it's definitely also about access. So I should not have to spend a month chasing someone who can give me access.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It should be something that it's already built or at least agreed, so that if automatically it's better. Now
Hmm.
these big companies anyway maintain, whether it is Entra or other system, they maintain directories of people, of roles, and so on. So,
Hmm.
like they do for everything else, why looking at invoices should be, or accessing a service, an application, should be managed and accessing the data should not.
Hmm.
So why we keep treating data or data products different from accessing other business assets?
Hmm. So you're treating all same assets as a same, which is fair.
Why not? So I would
Which
I
is
would say,
absolutely fair.
why
Yeah.
why it should be different? So if you have a badge that you can go and access different, or maybe we'll say you can access our facility in this country, but not in the other country. They're not writing on your badge. They have some system, some governance of the badge that you have.
No, I
And
totally agree with you. Actually,
yeah, so you see,
I am the advocate of that segregating data into a separate IT, that was a mistake. I always say that it should be part and parcel of the, like just other assets. It should be treated just like same thing. Life will become much easier. People segregated actually, gave it.
but
Yeah,
it's one thing, it's technically segregated.
yeah. Well, that is
That's
separate
fine.
thing.
That also makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
But then there is the other. So it's logically, it should be treated like access to facilities. Facilities are segregated, physically segregated in different places. And you have even different batch systems sometimes, you know but you usually have either an automation, that's the best, just a single badge, you can go everywhere and you can enter or not enter. Or if you don't have that, because sometimes you have different types of badge, you have a process, because people don't need to have everything done automatically, but you have a process that if your badge will not work when you go to India, you will have a way to go to the reception, show your badge, give your ID card, and they will find you in a directory. And they probably will see that you have an appointment with a colleague, and they will give you a local badge so that you can do something. And they say why it's done for this thing and similar for many other, and it should not be done with data. So that's again the federated governance. If you can manage roles and access in a single place and grant and have it done automatically, better. Otherwise, you will need a simple way, like the example I did. Well, you will have someone responsible for
Mm.
that unit, factory, whatever organization, but you will have a process.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it
I
should be
agree. I
something
agree.
simple and with reasonable times.
I agree with you. I think one of the biggest misconception about data mesh is about decentralization versus or federated governance, because most of the places when we talk about data mesh is decentralized word come in. Federated never come in because
But that's fine. So you can have decentralized governance
but
for the
you need a
tiny things,
but you
but
need
you
a
need, yeah, it's like a factory is managed individually, but it's part of a group and there's some common things that are dictated or federated, depends the word you like, from the central entity that owns the factory.
I'm a fan of
But
dictatorship, by the way. I'm a fan of when I look into dictatorship is a direction and a steer. When you
yeah, but you know,
when you kill people, that dictatorship is I don't like it. But see, you have an CEO in an organization, you have a principal in a school, you have a head chief data scientist in an organization. In an hospital, you have a chief doctor. So that is a dictatorship. Nobody can go against their directions. So nothing
yeah,
wrong to
so
that dictatorship.
and if you think even about Python, the founder and creator is the benevolent dictator. No, he said, of course, he said benevolent because he knows that, but at some point he also said that, well, I will listen, but at the end, someone need to make the decision.
Yes,
So
someone has
I
to.
will try to make the best decision for the language, for the community, and for our future. But when it comes down to yes or no, someone, whether it is the chief surgeon, the head of the factory, whatever you call it, someone has to decide we do it this way, or you can delegate, but at some level the decision must be done.
Yeah, someone has to own it. I think that's a one piece which is missing, and I accept it that whoever I talked other than you, I never came to have this concept of data mesh that this federated or dictatorship kind of stuff need to be. And I was always debating that. Hey, you end up creating so many factories, but there is no guardrail. There is no steer. There has to be a steer. There, you cannot run multiple entities without steering it. Else, it's a wild, wild west, right? And when
Yes.
someone
So,
fails, they can't say that nobody told us, right?
and what I, in these recent times, what I'm writing, for example, is that when I talk about this, that you have to design collaboration between these, not hope for it. So you have to design, not
Exactly.
hope for collaboration, because if you design, you can, with minimal principle and kind of soft guidance,
Mm,
make so that most of the problem are at least covered upfront,
mm,
and then you can solve the small issues when you actually do the last step, when you actually start using the things together.
mm.
But it's minor thing that you need to iron out. But if you just hope, you can end up with totally different things. You don't have any alignment. Well, who even tells that they are measuring the thing that you care, that you are so, uh, that's very utopistic that everybody does what they feel like, and then you can still build a common perspective.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Eh,
if you think that you will need a common perspective, you need to design for it.
mm.
Hoping is not enough in my experience. It's
Now,
not a good strategy.
So we have a time check of 10 minutes odd. Okay, that's fine. So let's go towards the capability of business. I really want to understand and throw this as a debate as well. Because in data mesh, we keep saying that, hey, give autonomy to each domain and let them do their own stuff, right? And when you say let them do their own stuff, because business owns that data, so they should take the responsibility of building it and sharing it. Now, suddenly, agentic AI has come. Now, when agentic AI comes, right, things are seemingly going out of control because there will be agents who will be doing everything on their own. Now, in data mesh, we all know that you have to be a very mature company from data angle to have data mesh implemented. And that is still not there. People are still not clear about data mesh, right? And there isn't a lot of success stories of data mesh. Now, data agentic AI comes in. How do you see these two? Because agentic AI do support data mesh. It will end up creating small data models. How do you see these two working together? Will,
Well, I would say uh, if you hope that your people will understand a mess, a spaghetti. I'm Italian, so I really love spaghetti,
yeah.
but I don't try to follow the path of each spaghetti in my dish, because what I need to do with the spaghetti is that I can just get a bunch, put it in my mouth, and enjoy it. You see, if I would need to describe how the sauce goes from one spaghetti to the next and so on, it's not going to be a very good solution.
Yeah.
And so this is to just lightly say that you can't expect people nor agents to understand chaos. So if you want to be able for your people
Hmm.
to understand things, you need to have this higher level town plan and even at lower level modeling. And what I'm also seeing more and more is that even agents to do good results, they need to have metadata. They
Yes.
can't just take data randomly and hope again, design, not hope. So you can't just throw data without any information on it to anything and hope that it comes out uh, with something useful. It doesn't work for humans that still are more flexible in understanding, they probably have more background than an agent. It doesn't work for AI agents. So what I've seen that is working is that when company have good metadata, good models. For example, you have metrics and documentation of these metrics. So you have defined what is the total income is.
Hmm.
Then if you have defined and you have defined that also in a machine usable way, because you have defined like a query, then of course an agent can understand what it is. They understand the concept of total income, and they probably can understand that you can slice it by time, by unit. You will have some dimension that you made available as part of the of that metric. So again, you need to put the design
Hmm.
there to make metadata context available along with the data. So the data alone doesn't say a lot. If you get a, let's make a stupid simple example. If you get a table with 1, 2, 3 in a cell, what it is, you don't know.
Nothing.
If it's just called call one with 1, 2, 3 or 100 or 1 million,
Hmm.
what it is. Then, if you already put a column name on top of it, and this income, you still don't know if in what currency. You don't know if it's the total income or it's, you don't know still, but already it starts to say a lot. And then you can start to put along with it another column with maybe currency, and you can specify better, and you can give good names instead of table one, uh, Italy, Italian company, whatever, again, data alone can be anything,
Can
can
be.
even be wrong. But to understand data, you need to put together a lot of breadcrumbs that we call metadata.
And
And some,
you are saying agentic AI might not be successful without metadata.
I'm sure that is not going to be. So until now, it's still working. If a human cannot do it, don't
Yeah.
hope that.
Yeah, yeah,
If a
yeah,
smart human can't do it, an agent cannot do it. So
yeah,
if a smart human cannot tell you what 1 million in a cell is,
yeah, yeah.
I can bet whatever you want that
Actually, you are absolutely right. What people are saying, actually, you have brought a very good point. You are saying if human can do it, agent can do it. If human can't do it, agent cannot do it. But the problem here is people keep selling it. Whatever humans can't do it, agent can do it. I think that's a wrong basic perception. They are selling agent in such a way that hey, humans can't do it, we can do it. But those are different use cases. Those are very complex, calculative, predictive thingy.
and and I agree, if human can do it, agent can do it if they have access to the same information.
Same
That includes
information.
metadata, context, and what next. You
Yes.
know, so I agree. But again, if a human cannot do, for me, right now, no agent can do it. And a human can do it when you give data along with metadata, context, and some knowledge. So the
Yes.
AI can definitely have the knowledge, but they still need the data, the metadata, and the context.
Yes, yes, you are absolutely right. So I think we are just 4 5 minutes. So I think it was a great session, Roberto. It was always pleasure to have. So the biggest advantage I have having sessions with you because you bring in a lot of data and technical knowledge into it, and I end up learning. The example you have given, spaghetti, it's a great example because spaghetti have so many noodles, right? So you don't end up finding out each noodle how that noodle was created. No,
You
you
don't really care
understand.
how long it is, where it goes,
Yeah,
and
you
so
don't
on.
care. It's just a recipe and it's pre-cut. Even it breaks down, it has the same taste, right? And it has the same ingredients, and ingredients has been given by someone who is at a federated level. So I think this example is a great example. I can quote it somewhere, and I will. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for that. That's a pleasure thinking.
Good.
So
Thank you very much.
yeah,
It's been a pleasure for me. And what I love in this conversation is that I also myself, I'm challenged to clarify my
yes.
thinking and to organize better my ideas. So thank you very much because it's also very valuable for me to have this discussion.
No, it is again, it's a pleasure, and I would say that I think you should start attending our not attending, participating our panel discussion. Why you don't participate in my panel discussion? It's a quarterly basis.
I'm a lazy guy to what comes down interacting with other humans. You have to organize and then I show up. But I might do. I will actually do. But I get so much information
Mm.
uh, on myself that it's difficult for me to really uh, go to all of it and organize. I don't was not even aware that you had a quarterly
No, no,
meeting.
it's just quarterly. We do it 3 to 4 months once. I have a panel of 5 to 6 people. We decide a topic and we brainstorm, we share knowledge. It's great to see multiple people. And I think you are one of those people I should invite there. You come one time and you see, will you enjoy it? Trust me, I built that, I call it my gang, built it 4 years back, and we are doing every quarter. And there are CTO, there is managing director, there's a founder, those kind of people are there and you can see their interest. They are there for last 4 years, every quarter. It means they keep appearing again and again. The trend is good, I would say. And I this is my third session with you, and I love talking to you. So I would forward you the invite. If you have a time, come over. I think next session, I just did it like few weeks back. Next session will be in March, somewhere in February or March. Let's see if you can take out time. It will be a pleasure.
Yeah, it will be a pleasure. So definitely invite me, and I will try to show up and see how it goes.
Yeah, sure. It will be same day, same time. Okay, thank you. Have
Good.
a nice weekend. Take care.
Thank you. You too. Bye bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.